Hey everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. Today I'd like to talk about myth Drannor. Originally I was going to jump into the Time of Troubles, but researching this I found that the city was interesting and I thought I'd talk about it. So Time of Troubles will be next week. What is myth Drannor? Well, I'll tell you now. It's no myth. Because of the name, it's quite real. I'm sorry, I'll be quiet. Myth Drannor was a popular elven city in Faerun, located in the forest of Cormanthor, next to the Moon Sea. Founded in negative 3,983 DR, it prospered with little incident for over 4,000 years. Although back then it was known, the city of Myth Drannor actually was known as Cormanthir. It was home to the High Elves, also known as the Eladrin, or really, it was a bunch of elves calling themselves the Tel'Quessir, but they were of High Elf / Eladrin ancestry. Now, backing up to when the Netherese were still around, there was an archwizard named Aldlas Sadhiz, and he heard that the Nether Scrolls were somewhere in Cormanthir. So he summoned 3 powerful Yugoloths, which are neutral evil demons of sorts, to distract the elves and allow him to search the city for the scrolls. The Yugoloths were known as Alampitir, Malimshar, and Galguth. Now, Aldlas sent them to destroy all sorts of creatures until they were stopped upon coming to Cormanthir. The elves arranged a highly organized army and battled them for an entire day, and by the end, Galguth and Malimshar were almost slain, and Alampitir was subdued. Aldlas had been killed in a wizard duel with another grand mage of the city. The 3 Yugoloths were imprisoned using a ritual that created an invisible, undetectable, sub-dimensional prison high above the city. The only way they could escape is if a specific scenario would play out, which was a red dragon that never knew malice or greed in its heart would fly over the throne of Cormanthir. This is something that would literally never happen. Soon after, the orc invasions were becoming a larger problem. The Coronal of Cormanthir, which is kind of a king, but chosen from noble families, they're chosen when they're able to draw the ruler's blade, which is a magic weapon created to determine who will rule. And when you pick up the sword, you undergo some challenges in your imagination that if you pass, you are worthy to rule. The Coronal realized that Cormanthir needed to change in order to survive. It was decided to open the city up to other races, to make peace and alliances with those races, which would unite them against the orc menace. The elf wizards got together, and in 261 DR, they created a mythal to protect the city. Now, a mythal was a powerful magical effect, I've talked about it before in other videos, that is created by numerous spellcasters working together. This particular mythal repelled orcs, goblins, ogres, giants, and their ilk, and it also prevented scrying and charm magics. With these protections up, Cormanthir was open to other races, and they renamed it Myth Drannor. Numerous humans, dwarves, and gnomes all made their way to Myth Drannor. It was here that the first noble half-elf was born, but not all the elven nobility enjoyed opening up the city to other races. Now, it should be noted that in 414 DR, Kelben Blackstaff Aronson was born, who is a fairly large character in the Forgotten Realms. And Blackstaff and Elminster should probably get their own videos in the future. I haven't read any of their books, and to be honest, I feel weird making a video when I haven't read any Elminster books. Any recommendations? Leave them in the comments below. ? Life in Myth Drannor continued really well until 661 DR when the Coronal died and left the city without a leader. Nobody was able to pass the sword's test, apparently. The elves convened with the tree spirits to discuss what to do, and they were given the message: if one star cannot guide you in your travel, look to them all for guidance. Now, the elves interpreted this that there should be a ruling council, and by 667 DR, the Council of the 12 was in control of Myth Drannor. Around this time, a mage named Savril Amath procured a dragon's egg and altered the unborn hatchling's innate nature. He hatched, wait for it, a red dragon with the physical characteristics of a blue dragon. He also made sure it would be a lawful good creature to be a friend to the elves. Prophecy mic drop. The Red Dragon and Seville often flew over the city together, and they were just the bestest of friends. And each flight they took weakened the prison of those Yugoloths until they were able to break free. Now, nearby, a shaman had enacted a summoning ritual roughly the same time as their escape, and once free, the Yugoloths teleported to it immediately so nobody would know that they had escaped. They organized a massive army of 3,000 strong orcs, goblinoids, trolls, gnolls, and other Yugoloths whom acted as officers. They called it the Army of Darkness and led a 3-year war against Myth Drannor, known as the Weeping War. Although the Yugoloths were eventually killed, the remaining army went into a rage that in 714 DR overran Myth Drannor. The city fell, leaving only 200 survivors, which is detailed in the module Fall of Myth Drannor. The module lays out each major battle in the Weeping War, and if you wanted to, you could run some PCs through this 3-year war defending Myth Drannor, which would be pretty awesome. The city was abandoned but not forgotten. The AD&D adventure Ruins of Myth Drannor allowed adventurers from all over to explore the ruins in hopes of finding magical items or their fortune. Folk call it the Seizing, as many waited to see what power and new terror would come out of Myth Drannor. Finally, I had a really good question in the comments that I wanted to answer. Basically, he was asking, what was year 0? And when I say 714 DR, what is DR and what event caused this calendar to come into existence? Well, DR stands for Dale Reckoning, and year 1, the start of this calendar, essentially year 0, occurred with a treaty between the elves of Cormanthir and the humans known as the Dalesmen, who were living in the surrounding forest. They forged a declaration of peace between themselves and called it the Dales Compact. The pact was inscribed on a 20-foot stone, and when that stone was erected, it marked the beginning of Dale Reckoning, which allowed humans to live and settle in the surrounding woods. Perhaps Ed Greenwood just chose this to be the calendar of choice, but Myth Drannor was such a big city and the elves are influential, so it kind of makes sense to use it. But there are other calendars that we could choose from. There's Dale Reckoning, which we just talked about. There's Cormyr Reckoning, which is like 26 years after Dale Reckoning, and it starts with the founding of Cormyr, which is an independent nation in Faerun. There's North Reckoning, which is a calendar developed and used in Waterdeep and the Silver Marshes. There's Netheril Year, which is a calendar that was used by the Netherese, and it started with the Alliance of the Seventon, which was on when all those Netherese tribes came together to form Netheril for the first time. There's also the Mulharan calendar, which started with the founding of Skuld. There are more calendars than I've mentioned, but because it seems every section of Faerun had some event that someone would say, you know what, let's start a calendar, we're just going to skip the rest of them. Really, you could use any of these you wanted, but Wizards of the Coast chooses to use Dale Reckoning, so that's what I'm going to use as well. Hey, if you guys have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. I really like reading your comments. It's probably, I sit there and I just hit refresh. It's really fun. So thanks guys for leaving such great comments. Like and subscribe. We're almost at 700, or we are at 700 subscribers. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and I'd like to have a giveaway when we get to 1,000. So thank you guys so much for spreading the word and liking and sharing. And thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all next Wednesday.